Well, folks, Bob Woodward's new book has got the Trump campaign in absolute panic mode. They are trying to figure out how to spin this one because there were some pretty damning allegations in that book. First of all, it's alleged that Donald Trump has met with Vladimir Putin 7 times since leaving office. And then the most disturbing of all was that Donald Trump gave testing machines to Vladimir Putin back in 2020 during the pandemic before Americans had access to them. Now, right before I sat down in this chair to do the video, I saw where that it has been confirmed by a spokesperson from Vladimir Putin that yes, Donald Trump did send Putin the testing machines. He did put Putin ahead of the American people. They didn't comment on the meetings since Trump left office, but confirmed that yes, they did receive testing machines from Donald Trump. So folks, Donald Trump did put the Kremlin over the American people. And I know this probably won't change anyone's mind in MAGA because they're so dedicated to the guy and because they never believed in the pandemic to start with. I mean, they're the people that spread every bit of misinformation they could. They refused to wear masks. They doubled down on all of their rhetoric and just made life harder on everyone else. And we sat back and we watched our loved ones die and we buried them. And Vladimir Putin had the testing machines before we did. Again, I doubt very seriously that it will move the needle in MAGA's world. But to anyone out there who was sitting on the fence at this point in the game, if you're still sitting on the fence, I don't understand how you are. But if you are, how could this not be the thing that makes you finally come down off that fence? The Harris campaign responded with this ad. I want to play this for you, and then we're going to talk more about this.
Trump will always choose Putin over the American people. And now we have evidence. A new report that he secretly sent Putin COVID tests while withholding them from sick and dying Americans.
So I said to my people, slow the testing down, please.
Who will Trump look out for in his second term?
I think I could have a very good relationship with President Putin.
I'm not disavowing that he called me a genius.
It's not you.
You know, just seeing those clips and hearing his voice from back then, I remember exactly where I was. And I remember what we were all going through during that time and how much uncertainty was out there in the world. This feeling of pure hopelessness was there, and it was like it was never going to end. I remember in my part of the world, we had snow on Christmas Day. And I remember saying to my family, this is the only thing I can think of that has been good this year. It was just like at least we had a white Christmas that year here in Tennessee. But I remember just how long and grueling the days were, and to think that Vladimir Putin had those testing machines before American citizens. It absolutely boggles my mind that Donald Trump could still have a supporter. I don't think that we should be kind to the guy at all. I think it's absolutely treasonous. I think he is the ultimate traitor, and anyone that supports him at this point in the game is too. I can't hold back on that one anymore. Kamala Harris did go on the Howard Stern show. I'm going to play some audio from that. I really can't believe that we're having this conversation, but I love what Kamala has to say right here. Take a listen.
It just came out today that Bob Woodward's book was saying that Trump was sending COVID tests to Putin, and Putin said, don't let anyone know. I mean, what is going on? What do you make of that?
So I actually said it even in the debate. I believe that Donald Trump has this desire to be a dictator. He admires strong men, and he gets played by them because he thinks that they're his friends.
Yeah.
And they are manipulating him full time and manipulating him by flattery.
Yeah.
And with favor. And so in the midst, to your point, as reported by Bob Woodward, in the height of the pandemic, and remember, and your listeners will remember, people were dying by the hundreds.
Yeah.
Everybody was scrambling to get these kits, the tests, the COVID test kits.
Couldn't get them.
Couldn't get them.
Right.
Couldn't get them anywhere.
Right.
And this guy who is president of the United States is sending them to Russia, to a murderous dictator for his personal use?
She absolutely just brought the truth right there, folks. He is a guy who aspires to be a dictator. He wants to be a strong man like that because deep down he's not. So he admires them, and he thinks that whenever they talk highly of him or flatter him, he thinks it's because they admire his strength. That's not the case at all. They see through him for the weak, fragile dude that he really is, and they realize how easily manipulated he can be. It's one thing that you have dictators on the world stage looking at a guy realizing, hey, we can manipulate that dude. But what's even more scary is that that dude has people he manipulates into believing that he actually is strong. And those people are lined up and fired up and ready to vote. So when we think about all of this, the only thing I can say is we just have to keep thinking about what it is we're up against. We're not just up against Donald Trump. We're up against people who believes he's strong and who all the things he's said and done, none of those things have been deal breakers, and this one won't either. If anyone out there sees a hardcore MAGA Trump supporter or someone in your family that was like the most over-the-top MAGA person you've ever met, if this story breaking turns them and the next time they're at family dinner, they say, I can't believe I ever stood for that guy, please drop it in the comments and let me know. I would love to actually talk to that person. I would love to talk to somebody who at this point in the game was still hanging in there and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. I'd love to pick that person's brain if they exist. Every time we sit down here to talk about Donald Trump, we have something unhinged and off the wall that he says to talk about. And we have unhinged and off the wall claims of things he's going to do. And we're trying to raise awareness and bring attention because the mainstream media doesn't. That's just the truth, folks. The mainstream media doesn't focus in on these things like they should. And those of us that are part of this pro-democracy movement, there's so many voices, not just me, there's so many voices out there. People who are trying to point and say, hey, guess what? It's like, I feel, this is how I feel. I feel like that my country is sitting in the middle of a train track and there is a train headed straight for them. And they're just standing there and they've got these earphones in and they're not hearing the train coming. They're unaware that the train is coming. And those of us in the pro-democracy movement over here on the sides trying to get their attention and be like, hey, yeah, you need to turn around. You need to see what's coming right straight at you. And if you hear this story and just let it roll off your shoulder because you're upset over the price of eggs, you're going to lose everything that our founding fathers ever put in place. You're going to lose everything that our grandfathers fought for. It's going to be on them. It's going to be on the people who sits back and turns a blind eye to this and puts the price of eggs over democracy. It's going to be on them, folks. I will not pull punches if this thing goes sideways because at that point, none of us will have nothing to lose. There's no point in pulling punches anymore. This guy is a traitor to this country, straight up. And anybody that can still sit there at this point in the game and just let this roll off, well, both sides are the same, man, I don't know, really, both sides are just as bad. You're not paying attention. You're standing in the middle of train tracks. You're listening to some crappy pro-country band probably, and you're not paying attention to the fact that there is a train headed right straight for your democracy, and it's going to shatter everything that you ever had. And the thing is, once he's actually got everything he has to get out of his followers, they're not going to be of any use to them. They used to tell me years ago when I was talking to them, they would tell me about how a dictator would come along, and once he got control of his people, he would take the guns. They have no fear that he would, but if he would do this, do you really trust him to have control of your firearms? All you people out there that just worships at the altar of guns, you going to trust this guy with that if you can't trust him with anything else? Yeah, this is one video that I really didn't think I'd be making. But here we are. It just keeps getting worse. And we just have to keep calling it out for what it is. We can't let this one get away from us. Folks, I thank you guys so much for supporting what it is that I do. You guys helped me build this platform further than I ever thought it would go. I really thought the first time I ever sat down in a chair like this to talk about things that was on my mind, I figured I would just piss off the few friends that I had left and that'd be the end of it. I figured I would still be, just in my little part of the world, with a bunch of people mad at me. But instead, I talk to people from all over the world now, from all walks of life. And I love getting to know you guys and hear your stories. And when I'm talking to people outside this country who are looking in going, Brando, what is going on in your country? I love hearing your perspective. I thank you guys for supporting what it is that I do. If you watch me every day and you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do so. That just helps keep these videos in the algorithm, and it also lets you know when I've posted another video. As long as I have a platform to do so, I'll be doing it. And I appreciate you guys so much for helping me build this thing. I view this as a team effort. I don't view it as me. I don't view it as mine. I view it as ours. And I'm truly grateful to all of you for being a part of it with me.